Minecraft. I like your cut, G.
Jesus Christ, this episode was something. Oh dear God. So the creators just went once again from 0 to frickin' 60. There is so much to talk about the show. I see what they're doing too. I see the jabs, the very obvious political jabs that they're pushing out here via the villains. And whereas before it wasn't really clear who was the good guy and who was the bad guy in the show, it seems as though they're kind of more leaning or pointing, helping us to try and see who the obvious bad guys are. Even though when you hear the bad guy talking points, some of them do make sense, even though they're the ones creating the problem. Just an example, when Stormfront talks about these super terrorists or whatever they're called, she does make a point that if these things are coming in and killing a whole bunch of people and just coming in illegally, I mean, it does make sense to put a kibosh on it until we can figure out who these people are and stop them from infiltrating the people who are trying to get over here the right way. And trust me, coming from me and my family, that's saying a lot. Jesus Christ, what does that mean, Altiori? I can't tell you because I can't say. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about Homelander and his son, because one thing I do love about the show so much is that contrary to which side you fall on with the villains, with the good guys acting like villains and some of the villains acting like good guys, there is a point that you can see with everyone and the choices that they make or the positions that they hold. And it makes things very interesting. That is, if you're someone who employs critical thinking and moral ethics.
What the fuck? Oh my God. Oh my God.
Let's talk about poor Ryan and his poor mom. Holy crap. This was a heartbreaking scene right here. And I totally understand where the mother's coming from. But I also understand where Homelander is coming from. Stormfront's just a bitch. She doesn't care about the boy. She doesn't care about the mom. She's just like, ooh, look at the shiny new toy that I could use. I don't think she cares about either of them. And I still stand by what I said before. I think she's definitely playing Homelander. Poor Homelander. Because he's just freaking stupid and tainted with how he grew up. If there's anybody who's the real villain, it's the people who created these superheroes, i.e. Stormfront, and the Vogelbaum dude, who denied Homelander of the childhood he deserved. Now, there are a few points I want to make here. Let's take a look at these scenes.
So are you into any things that, you know, kids are into?
Yeah.
Like, NBA 2K? PewDiePie?
What's that?
So that's just very sad. So in the attempt for the mother trying to shelter her son, she basically makes him into Nemo, and she over-shelters him so much to the point where he has no idea how to survive in the outside world. He has no idea what the outside world is like. I understand that she doesn't want him using his powers, which is still very irresponsible because he's gonna find out at some point in time. If you don't train him from when he's really little and accept him for who he is, how the hell is he gonna be a functional adult? I know that most people watching this are gonna be like, oh my God, the mother's just trying to do what's best for him. Okay, let me use an example. Let's say you have a little pup, and you know that the pup is a wolf or a bear or some kind of wild animal that's not domesticated. You can raise that wolf from a pup to be as sweet as possible. However, the unfortunate truth is that you're going to do more damage to that animal with you raising it than if you were to put it in an environment around other wolves so it can learn how to be a wolf. Because no matter how sweet you raise him to be a regular dog, he is not a regular dog. He is a super predator that has those basal primitive instincts still amped up to 1000. And what's going to happen is that they're going to be repressed. You're not going to give him enough exercise. You're not going to teach him dominance and aggression control. You're not going to teach him bite inhibition. The very basic parts of him, you're denying him and sheltering that wolf. And what's going to happen, which is what happens with many people who own wild animals, is that as he grows up, he blows up and ends up attacking you or other people. Then you have to put him down. This is the case with Homelander's son. This little kid is a super predator, essentially, and this woman is treating him like he's a regular kid, and he is not a regular kid. When Homelander said that he needs to be around his father, he needs to learn what the real world is like, because what happens is if he goes out there and finds out somehow, which he is going to find out, let's be honest, at this age, this kid should already be taught this. He should already known this. I don't know why the mother hasn't told him. He's going to blow up and be more dysfunctional because the only person he could ever trust lied to him about what his real standing is, about who he really is, about what the world is really like.
I know what you're doing.
Nope, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you do not. You could not possibly understand. I was raised the same way as him. That kid doesn't know anything about anything. When he sees the outside world, he is going to panic.
So right there, Homelander is telling her, look, dude, look, you are raising him to be weak and totally unprepared for this world. And as psychopathic and sociopathic as Homelander is, well, he's right. Hiding your kid and sheltering them from the world because you love them so much and you're so afraid that they're going to be like someone else is not the way to raise them to be functional adults. This may sound weird, but my mother, when I was really little, she started watching R-rated movies with me. Now, granted, I come from a Christian background, so she was doing it for a completely other purpose, but I believe it was for the same reason. She loved me and she wanted to protect me in her way. That was trying to show me what the right path was. We would watch entertaining movies about people doing stupid things, and she would show me curses and stuff. She would fast forward the sexual scenes, but she would show me all of it. She'd say, look at the violence. Look at what happens. That is what happens as a result when somebody's life takes a wrong turn. That's what happens when someone stabs someone. She showed me what the real world was like. It's really weird because later on in life, she tried to shelter me a lot more than she did when I was really little, but I knew exactly what those things were. She was also a nurse. So when it came to medical stuff and death, I was schooled on that stuff at a really early age. So it wasn't traumatic for me whenever something like that happened. Surely if I lost my animals, I would always be really sad, but it's not like it traumatized me to the point where I couldn't function. And you have a lot of people today that their parents grew them up spoiled and entitled, and they have no idea how the world really works or how to handle stuff like that when someone doesn't agree with them or when they lose something or when they don't get exactly what they want. This is what Homelander is trying to avoid. He was raised in a dysfunctional manner where people were constantly lying to him. Even today, people constantly lie to him about everything. They manipulate him, and in his mind, he's thinking, you know what? I gotta do for myself. I gotta be aware of myself. I have to teach myself. I can't trust anyone. So he's trying to save his kid all that heartache so that his kid can be his own man and not what mommy wants him to be because mommy wants him all to herself. Now, I'm not trying to be too rough. I understand exactly where the mother is coming from. She sees how Homelander is, and honestly, she's doing the same thing to her kid that they did to Brandon in Brightburn, where they hid the truth from him and sheltered him so much that he was actually repressed. The best that you could do for a child like this is to show them what the world is really like what they did with Superman. Raise him as a normal child, show them that, hey, there is bad in the world, but you can choose to be good. Why do you choose to be good? Because you have more fulfillment. There are also dire consequences. And if you don't want to end up alone and hated by everyone, it makes more sense to do what is good while also giving him the love and respect that he deserves. Let the boy know that, hey, you're very special and you have these powers, and train him how to use them for good. Train him to learn to think for himself. I'm not dogging on his mom, but she messed up here. Also, keeping him away from his father, it sounds psychotic, but that's one of the worst things you could do. Even if Homelander is bad, when the child is with you, let him see the both of you talking. Try to see things from Homelander's point of view too, because I really believe that Homelander doesn't want anything to happen to his kid. I really believe that he actually loves his kid. The only dangerous part about this is that he wants the kid to be just like him, and the mother fears that the kid is going to become a sociopath like his father if he looks up to his father, which is why I'm guessing she didn't show him any of those movies. Because then he would be, wow, that's just like dad. I love that. And for this specific case, I think it would be good for the mother to say, hey, these are some good qualities about your father, but here's where you can be an even better person than your father. I don't think it's healthy for the mother to put down the father or to tell the kid that his father sucks or his father is evil. Let the kid discover that for himself from what you've taught him. However, it is good for the kid to see the bad about his father and the good. So it's not just you constantly saying your dad's bad, your dad's bad, your dad's bad, because the kid will see that and he will resent you and think you're trying to keep him away from his dad and keep him away from learning the truth. So basically, this is blowing up in her face. And what Homelander says here really hits home because it makes a lot of sense.
Now that's gonna fuck him up. I do not want my son to have to go through what I went through.
He has a mother, and I know that that means something to you. I do, and if you take him away from me, this whole world will feel so confusing and frightening.
But Rebecca, you are lying to him.
Because I love him.
So see, this is where we see her side of things. She's trying to protect him, and Homelander is like, okay, I get that, but he's at the age right now where he's not going to trust you. The one person he expected to trust is the one person that is lying to him, the closest person to him. He's not going to respect that. And the dangerous thing that you run into also when a child realizes you've been lying to him is he won't ever trust anything you have to say ever again after that. Why should he? I wouldn't blame him. It is worse for a kid, like certain white lies, like, oh, Santa Claus, ate the cookies and the cream or whatever. You can understand that. But when it comes to the outside world and you shelter him to that degree at this age, it's not like he's freaking 3 years old. The kid is growing up. You need to let him know what is out there. So once he finds out that, wait a minute, mom lied to me? Mom? How could she do that? He will immediately see you as the enemy and he'll never want to trust you because as far as he's concerned, you're now the enemy because you kept him in the dark. He can't trust you anymore. I get why parents do this, but that's why I've also noticed and lauded a lot of parents who adopt children for telling them at a certain age, right around this kid's age, that, hey, look, this was your biological mommy and daddy. Or if the biological parents are dead or they don't want the kid to know that, who they are, they'll say that, hey, I'm not your biological mommy, but I love you so, so much. Because kids have to understand how things work, especially if the kid doesn't really have your traits. People are going to point it out. It is worse for the kid if they find out through someone else that they were adopted than if they find out through you. And the earlier it is, and the earlier you teach them how to deal with that, is the better it's going to be from them later on. They're going to be more accepting if you tell them earlier on than if they find out later on in life. If you tell them really early, they may be curious, but they won't be on this journey walk to want to find their parents if it's really earlier on and they've already accepted you as their parent. Now, if you tell them at 20 years old or 16 years old, hey, by the way, you were adopted, sorry, they're going to be like, really, bro? They're going to be so confused, and now they're going to want to find answers because as far as they're concerned, they missed out on all that time. I've seen it happen, but it helps to be truthful with your family members. Look, I'm somebody above everything else. I require fidelity and honesty. That's all. Even if you're the kind of person that's like, yo, I don't want to be a friend anymore because of such and such and such, I will value you more as a person and have more respect for you for telling me that as opposed to going behind my back and speaking shit about me. So I get where Homelander is coming from, and we can have a debate about this in the comments. Who do you think is right? Do you think both of them are right? Both of them have a point? Do you think that the mother was wrong or Homelander was right? Right now, honestly, so far, what I've seen with parenting with Homelander, I haven't seen anything wrong that Homelander has done. At first, when he pushed his kid off the roof, I was like, ooh, what if he is not super powered? But Homelander was pretty clear, and I even thought, wow, that's really kind of psychotic. But then my partner pointed out that in the last episode of the season, the first season, we did see the red eyes. Homelander knows that his kid is super powered. It's not like he was taking a gander or a guess. So he had faith that nothing was going to happen to him. And he told the mother, look, you are raising our child to be a wuss. And she was. There's a reason why there is a mother and father dynamic in kids' lives. If you have a little girl, the little girl knows how to be tough, knows how to be treated with respect from her father. The mother teaches her feminine side, how to be nurturing and how to mitigate certain things. If you have a little boy, the mother teaches the little boy his feminine side, how to be caring, how not to be a freaking psychopath, and how to learn to have compassion. But the father is there to teach the boy to be protective and fierce, to be self-sufficient. Most little boys and girls thrive in this dynamic. And it sucks because of the situation that they're in, but the little kid needs both parents. I've known some people with some asshole fathers. Their fathers are not really in the picture because, they only have half custody or whatever. The mother and the father can't stand each other, but when you talk to the kids or my friends and I ask them who would you rather stay with, I'm like, well, I don't know, I like staying with my dad sometimes, I like staying with my mom sometimes, and I hear the stuff that their father's done, and they're not praising their fathers for doing the awful stuff that they did, but you can tell how much they love their dad. They go over, when you see them with their father, they hug their dad, they play with their dad. It's just really cool. They have this really cool relationship, and then they go back home to their mom and have this cool relationship too. The fathers will instill some things in them and say, hey son, don't be like me, don't do this. I should have done this and I didn't do it. This was wrong. It's good to have those two different perspectives, because if you're only ever introduced or exposed to only one perspective, as you grow up and you've been sheltered in an echo chamber of just that one perspective, essentially you're in like this cultish atmosphere. And then anything else that comes that kind of challenges that perspective, you become this dysfunctional individual that doesn't know how to handle the new information because you've been fed and brainwashed your whole life to believe just one thing a certain way, that you go off or you even become violent or really angry like this kid and Homelander did growing up.
And I know a part of you loves him too, and that you want what's best for him, but what's best for him is to be here with me, with his mother. Look, we have this opportunity to give him a childhood you never had. We can do that if he's here with me. Please, I'm begging you, please.
Right there, I feel so bad for Rebecca. I know that she's his mommy and she loves him. And honestly, my mom is the same way. If I didn't break away from her, I would have ended up like that little boy probably is heading down now. I've known people in our family, mothers who have sheltered their sons and their sons are living with them. Well, only one really. They're 50 years old and still sucking on mommy's tit. Not literal, well, I don't know, but we made a joke about that. Don't know if it's true. I don't know, don't care, don't want to think about it. But still living at home with mom, and mommy is doing everything for him because he does not know how to function. They had such an unhealthy relationship that mommy was like, oh, don't worry, son. I'll take care of you. I'll do everything for you. She spoils the boy, doesn't want him hanging out with any girls or anything. He never learned how to be his own man. He never learned how to be a man, period. And as a result, he actually started to resent her and become more violent when he got heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak from girls, and he ended up becoming physical with his mom. Not in a bad way, not in a bad way. I don't want you to think it's that way. Not that way. I mean like slapping her around and stuff. Suddenly, the little angelic boy that she used to love so much is now a monster that she can no longer get out of her house. And I can tell here, say what you want about Homelander, he is a villain, but I can tell here from his face that he does feel bad for her. He was willing to go outside. He was willing to talk to her. She's his kid's mother after all. Just like, if it weren't for her, the kid wouldn't be here. He respects her. He's like, okay, I'll listen to what you have to say. I feel really bad for you, but you're not helping him. And Homelander's also speaking from experience. He grew up very dysfunctional, and I really do believe him when he says he doesn't want that for his kid. The only dangerous part, I feel, is Stormfront. I think Homelander will do anything to save his child. But Stormfront's another story, because I think she's got a goose cooking for everybody in the show, including Homelander. And Homelander's just eating it up because he believes that this girl really loves him and really cares about him. And I really do feel bad for him. Maybe I'm a sucker for villains sometimes, but when you read their backstory or you see their backstory in shows or in movies and you realize that the way they are right now, they're not inherently bad people. They're just very dysfunctional, and their dysfunctional nature is due to someone else. It makes me dislike the person that knowingly abused the person to make them become that way more than I do the actual person doing the deeds now. Regardless, Homelander is an adult now. He may be skewed, and I think the sad part about Homelander, why he's almost irredeemable, is because he doesn't have anyone that can put him in his place. The fact that he's even listening to the mother right now, that proves that there's still humanity in there. I think he also respects her because he never had a mommy, and he can tell that this mommy really loves his son. However, in his head, he's like, okay, you've done your raising, you've exposed him to your side of things with compassion, but he needs to know what the real world is like. If you're not around or he figures it out some other way, it is going to ruin him and he is going to resent you regardless. Let him experience it and decide, look, I want to come back home and stay with mom, or I want to stay with dad and grow up a little bit. The main thing is at the little boy's core, he still remembers his mom's teaching. He's still young enough that if he hangs around dad and likes dad a bit too much, he could become like his father, which is what the mother is fearing right now, and I completely understand that. I think that Homelander should take the little kid and teach him and do whatever he has to do with the kid, and then bring him back to his mom. That's why you need two parents. Whew! Anyway, this was really fun. I enjoyed talking about this. Ooh, it is quite a subject. I know some people are gonna be up in arms about it, like, how dare you say that? He's evil, he should never see his child. And that's why we're having so many problems with a lot of males today. People who didn't have fathers, or the fathers didn't actually do what they were supposed to do because they weren't giving the room to do so, because everything they do that is along the lines of what a father should do, they get vilified for it. And I realize that there's this ongoing theme with fathers in the show. I'm trying not to notice it. You know, there's only like one father figure in here, or actually two that are really good father figures that are seemingly really perfect. And it's Mother's Milk and his dad. And yep. Wait, no, I think Huey's parents. Yeah, I think Huey's parents are too. But anyways, what did you guys think about this? What do you think about the Mother and Homelander's meeting? Whose side do you take anyway? Like, do you think there is a side to take, or can you see where each of them are coming from? Let us know in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.